everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Tani Marie for those of you.
Oh, I thought it was.
No! Ay, este presentado. Hi everyone, this is Tani Marie. If you are new here, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been quite some time if you are not new here. But I'm so glad if you are tuning back in and catching up with me because we have a lot to talk about. If you are new here, again, I'm Tani Marie. I'm a soon-to-be mommy of 3. We do lifestyle, motherhood, and kingdom pursuit here. I'm a believer of Jesus. I'm a friend. I'm a wife. I'm a sister if you need one. And hopefully you stick around to our slowly but surely growing family. I don't want to ramble because there's so much to talk about, and I know I've been gone from here for quite some time. If you do follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, you should. I'll pop it somewhere in the screen. I did make a reel, I don't really remember when, but a little while ago, kind of explaining briefly what's been happening and kind of why I've been a little absent. However, this is something that I don't do just because it's trendy, it's for the aesthetic, I don't have anything else to do, I'm not busy enough with my kids. This is something I do because God placed it in my heart years ago, and it's just something that He's just and even though you're going through hard moments, and we go through hard moments, our obedience is not intimidated by our season. It won't stop being required because we're going through a hard season, we're going through a drought, we're going through a valley. Obedience won't stop being demanded. And so that's just kind of where I've been, where I've been going through some things, but God's still asking me to show up, and so that's what I'm going to go ahead and do and just kind of be vulnerable. So I don't really know who needs this or if it's just really for me, but eventually we'll see down the road, right? So the last time I was present on here, I was very early in my pregnancy. If you didn't know, I am pregnant again. I'm a soon-to-be mommy of 3, so right now I'm about 25 weeks when I'm recording this. The last time I was on here, oh my goodness, transparently, it had to be probably when I was around 11, 12-ish weeks. And so it's been quite some time. And right around that time, I was recording a vlog. I was about to share details on a gender reveal and planning a gender reveal and all of these things when life just flipped upside down. My world flipped upside down, and we started dealing with severe complications with this pregnancy. So maybe around 15 weeks in my pregnancy, I had an early premature rupture of the membrane. For those of you who don't know what that is, or if you've simply never been pregnant, or just simply, again, don't know what that is, it basically means that the sac that the baby is in, I had a very early rupture. Your sac is not supposed to rupture until you give birth, until your water breaks. That's what basically causes the baby to come out. And so around 15 weeks, I had a rupture in the sac, in the baby's sac. And so what happens is that the liquid and the fluids that the baby needs to survive, that help the baby grow, were literally leaking out like if my water was slowly breaking. And so I was sent to the emergency room. We confirmed that that was the situation multiple times, and I have been going through some very hard weeks. When they first went ahead and let me know that that was the situation, again, I was about 15 weeks. There isn't anything that they can do for you at that time when something like that is happening, because your body naturally is releasing that liquid, releasing that fluid, and basically your body is showing signs that it is going to start rejecting the baby, or you're just naturally going to go into early labor. And so because I was so early and babies are not considered viable meaning that they can survive outside of the womb, They're not considered viable until 23 weeks. There was just nothing that could be done for me. And it was very hard because where I first was going, they were very adamant and very persistent on me terminating this pregnancy and going through the process of terminating the baby. And I completely understood why that was being suggested, because the mom becomes extremely at risk to receiving infections and things like this when those fluids remain inside of you and they're not contained in that sac. And so I was going through basically shock. My body was going in to a really big shock when all of this was happening. I was experiencing a lot of pain, a lot of fevers, a lot of chills, and just a lot of other things. And because of this, they were insisting that I terminated this pregnancy. And for some reason, I was just always asking, well, how's the baby? Well, how's the baby? Well, but what does the baby look like? How the baby was just overall, and they did keep confirming to me that the baby's heartbeat was fine, that the baby still had enough fluid at the moment. And the situation was really just affecting me, and they were concerned about my life. And so I did have one doctor who checked everything. She came in, she confirmed that at the moment she did not feel comfortable terminating this pregnancy, because although I was having this rupture, the baby was doing okay, and she personally did not feel comfortable doing that. And so that was the first time that I went was actually admitted into the hospital, and then I was discharged. But the leaking continued and it kept progressing. It kept getting more intense. The things that I was feeling was more intense, and so I had to go back. And it was just a few weeks, about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks of me just coming in and out of the hospital because my body was going through so much. And so the second time I went, that's where it just intensified, and everyone was fully persuaded that the best thing was to terminate this pregnancy. There was nothing that anybody could do, and that most likely if I left the hospital, I was either just gonna come right back, or I was gonna end up having to prepare for this baby to just come out at any given point at the house. And so I was given the option, after a couple of hospital visits, I was given the option basically to be admitted and begin the process for termination, or to basically just go home and wait to see what happens. And I closed my eyes and I just said, as long as the baby's okay, I'm gonna fight until I can. And so I closed my eyes and I said, okay, God, you tell me when to stop fighting. And we left. So after that, I came home. I was not well at all. After that visit, I was not well. That was the most rough night after all of the days and weeks that have already passed. And it had gotten really bad. My fever was really bad. I was in excruciating pain. I was starting to tell my husband, I feel like how I felt when I was about to go into labor with my second born. I don't think I'm gonna be able to hold this baby in. And I got through the night, and the next day I just genuinely felt in my heart, and I felt like if somebody was just whispering to me to go get a second opinion. And so I did. I went to another hospital. I asked my husband to take me. I told him, I know how I look. I know how I feel. I know what they're saying, but can we please just go to this place? If this place tells me the same thing, then, at least in front of the Lord and in my heart, I know that I did all that I could. I fought up to where I could fight, and I still have 2 babies here. I can't risk my life for these, and leave these 2 babies behind. And so we went, and it was the little ounce of hope that we needed. And when we went, I felt like God just allowed angels to step into the room. And like I said, we gained a little ounce of hope. There was no full guarantee that we would make it to the end, that we could progress, that things could get better, but there was the slightest of hope that things could. And so we held on to that. We stood with that place, and we've been dealing with them throughout this whole entire process. And so they reevaluated everything, did everything they could for me, and they just gave me a plan. They tried to help me figure certain things out, but at the end of the day, I was still being told, we cannot intervene for you until 23 weeks. And so that's exactly how it went. By that point, I was 16 weeks because, again, I had been in and out of the hospital dealing with doctors and nurses and all of this already for a few days. And so they were like just telling me things that I could do to avoid it getting worse, things that I could limit myself on, things that I could try to do to make sure that I kept producing amniotic fluid so that what I was leaking wasn't more than what I was producing, just little things here and there. And so everyone, was just praying and hoping that some way, somehow my body would hold out until 23 weeks. And to God be the glory, it did. And so as the time progressed, weeks went by. I think I was probably about 7 weeks leaking when it just slowly started slowing down. I would have still some days where I was in excruciating pain. Other days I felt better. My body was fighting to fix what was happening, heal what was happening, and I was noticing that. And so we started seeing improvements in the leaking, and I made it to 23 weeks. And the moment that I made it to 23 weeks, I was being monitored and have been monitored every week. I was admitted to the hospital again so that I could get steroids, antibiotics, things like that to flush out any infection that my body had been trying to fight. Steroids to kind of strengthen my body, strengthen the placenta, and things like that, and see if it would be of aid, and it has been of aid. And so that's where I've been. I really tried to summarize that as much as I could, and still give enough detail to explain why I have just not been here. And so this incident took place right before we were going to do a gender reveal. And so it has consisted in a lot of emotions, a lot of pain, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. And it has required an immense amount of faith. And so I needed to not be here. I needed to just fully be attentive to my family, to my kids who were also being affected by the situation, to myself. And I'm definitely the person that when I'm going through something, I just like to disappear. I don't like to talk about it. I'll come back when life is feeling good. I'm feeling good and we're good. And for some reason, I've just felt God tugging on me so much to be vulnerable, to be present. And I feel like he challenged me at one point. I feel like there was a point in where he was almost saying, are you scared to show up because you're scared I'm gonna fail you? And you don't want to go through failure in front of people. You don't want to go through disappointment in front of people. And I feel like he was challenging my faith. And so here I am. I'm currently 25 weeks pregnant. Baby has held out. To God be the glory. And so the steps from here are basically to see if baby will continue to hold out until 34 weeks, where I will be inducted early just because there have been so many risks. My body's been going through so much already. And so once baby is at a point in where baby is strong, baby's lungs are developed enough and things like that, just to avoid any more risk happening and to avoid just, again, don't want to get into so many details, but just to avoid a lot of risk, I will be induced early. And that is the goal right now. The goal is to make it to 34 weeks, and we are believing that we are going to make it to 34 weeks because I'm not supposed to be here right now. This baby, I can't tell you guys how many doctors I have seen, how many doctors have looked at me. When I made it to the hospital at 23 weeks again, how many people were just like, I cannot believe that your body made it here. I cannot believe that you made it to this point, because it is very rare for that to happen. And my high-risk doctor, when I first went to him, he was very scared. He was very concerned about the situation. And he told me, he said, if nobody tries to defeat the odds, how will we know they can be defeated? And he said, so I'm going to fight with you as long as you fight. And now we're here. We're 25 weeks. So if anything were to happen, baby is viable outside of the womb. They will step in. They will try everything to help us and to help baby. We are obviously hoping that baby just, again, stays put until 34 weeks. I am still high risk. There is still the possibility that I can go into a very early labor. But again, at least now we're at the point where there's a fighting chance for baby outside of the womb. And so this pregnancy it has not been like anything I've experienced, anything I would have imagined experiencing. But I'm truly convinced that pregnancy is a spiritual thing. Bringing babies into the world is a spiritual thing. And I'm just choosing to believe that when the Lord says, I've created you, I formed you in your mother's womb, when he spoke to Esther and he used Mordecai to say, perhaps you were created and born for such a time as this. He was thinking of my baby too. He was thinking about you. He was thinking about me. And he whispered, you're going to be born for such a time as this. And then he sent us. And so I'm choosing to believe that for such a time as this, for some reason, this baby has a mighty purpose, and that we will be embracing this baby soon. And so that is what has been going on. And I know it's been a lot to soak in, and hopefully it wasn't too confusing, but that's where we're at. So from here on out, pertaining this pregnancy, I am 25 weeks pregnant. I am being monitored weekly. I'm being monitored at my OBGYN office, and I'm being monitored by my high-risk doctor. I am continuously being monitored. I am going through blood work, through all of these things up until 34 weeks, or up until baby decides to come. If baby decides to come earlier, but I've had a few talks with baby, and baby knows I'm not playing anymore. I have gone through enough, and baby needs to hold out until 34 weeks. And so that's basically where we're at. So it does change a lot of things regarding preparations and nesting, but for some reason, God knows all things, and he knows what he puts inside of a mom. Because when all of this had started anyway, I had told my husband, I said, I don't know, but for some reason, I don't think I'm going to make it to be full term. And he was like, no, don't say that. And I was like, no, I don't mean like, like it in any bad way. I was like, I just don't feel like I'm gonna make it. Sorry, not full term. Like, I don't feel like I'm gonna make it to the very end of this pregnancy. And here we are. Here we are. This is not what I meant at all. But I just kind of said that to him one day. And so if God wants to show out and let me make it till September, because I was due originally at the end of September. If he wants to show out, if he want to say he glorious for real, I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to interrupt him, but I will take 34 weeks happily. I will take it. It's been a long journey and a long ride, but I am just at a place in where, as hard as it is, because I still have my mental battles, my fears, my struggles, I've decided to enjoy the rest of this pregnancy. I've decided to start preparing for this baby, to welcome this baby, to embrace this baby. And so a lot of my videos coming up will be a lot of organizing, a lot of nesting, and all of that, because we are 9 weeks away from meeting this baby, hopefully. Again, hopefully, a full 9 weeks from meeting this baby. And it sounds like a lot of time, but it's honestly not a lot, because in these next upcoming months, we personally have a lot going on. So I'm going to try to steward the time as best as I can. I will try to keep you guys as updated as I can. So yeah, I just felt like I needed to share in more detail, because I shared briefly what was happening on Instagram. I had so many people reach out to me, so many people join me in prayer, and I could not ask for anything else than somebody taking out the time and saying, I'm going before Jesus for this girl. I'm pleading the blood. I need to talk to the healer above healers above healers, like the doctor above doctors above doctors. I need to get on my knees for this girl. And I genuinely pray that God just blows your mind, and he does things in each and every person's life that has even prayed for me, prayed for my pregnancy, prayed over this baby. I pray that there's things that start happening in your life, and that it be the evidence of what you did for me. Because I'm praying that there be an outpouring of blessings for all of you. Genuinely, I mean that. I'm not saying it just to say it. And so, yeah, that's genuinely where I've been for this pregnancy. I was like, I'm not gonna make this video long, but it is what it is. This is what's been going on. And so we're just out here trusting God. Like, when I say we're just out here trusting God, we're just out here trusting God. And I've had people ask me, how are you doing it? I'm just doing it. There's no other option but to see this through. Like, I cannot give up. And when people ask me, like, how do you have the faith? Like, my faith looks different every day. Some days I'm up in here fighting against principalities. I'm up in here fighting against whatever. And there's other days that I have to thank God that he has angels that cover me and do that for me when I need them to do that. And there's days where my faith looks like my hands lifted, and my faith on other days looks like I'm crying in my room into a pillow quietly so nobody hears me, asking God to just keep carrying me through. And I'll wake up and notice I made it through another day. And so faith is not linear. Faith is not just a one-way street. It doesn't look just like one thing. It's not that. It's not that. It's being decided. It's a knowing in yourself that if I can't do this on my own, I can't afford to even try to. And I know this situation. Oh no, this situation. Oh no. Oh, I need something sovereign to work out. I need something sovereign to work out in this situation. And so I've just held on to the one who's sovereign. And here we are. And I'm making this video, and I feel a baby kicking in my tummy. And despite all of this, not once have they told me your baby's in distress. Your baby's showing signs of, distressed. Your baby is now being the one being affected. And it's been hard on me and it's been hard on my body. But not once has my baby been affected. And to God be the glory. And so this is where we're at. This is my testimony up until now. And I will continue to update you guys. I'll continue to take you along the journey. We'll obviously talk about other things, do other things, but there's moments you're gonna see me sitting on a walker and it's not gonna be because my leg is tore up, my leg is broken. My body hurts. I have to do a lot of sitting. I cannot do a lot of standing, and sometimes just moving around and be able to have something to sit on. I got a walker. I got a little grabber thingy. You know, them things that just you pick something up from the floor and you don't gotta bend down. I have one of those because I'm very limited on movement right now. And so there's just gonna be things that are in my videos. My life this is a part of my life, and I didn't feel like I could just come on here and pretend and do a whole bunch of other things and not address this. So I feel like I've addressed it pretty well. And I don't want to keep rambling. I just don't want to keep talking your heads off. This is basically what I wanted to address. I am hoping to be more present. I'm hoping to keep you guys as updated as I can. If for any reason, you know, I'm missing for a few, just keep in mind, again, my body, although it's doing better, it still has received a massive shock. And there are days that my body feels that massive shock, and all I can do is just be present in real time. And so just have grace with me, but we'll definitely be seeing a lot of each other. Go ahead and write in the comments, send your thoughts, your whatever you want to do, as long as it's respectful. Don't you come up in here doing the things y'all be doing on the internet. Don't be coming in. This is not the chat. This is not the video. This is not the comment section to be doing that. Y'all don't come up in here doing what y'all do on the internet, okay? So I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment, like, all of those things. Follow me on Instagram. Sometimes I'll post a little more frequently. Small reels than here, obviously. And hopefully we can continue this journey together. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and God bless.